drafted went to Vietnam, 68 to 70, came back. VA paid for my law school, and so I've been practicing law since about that time. I've done a lot of different things. Public defender work, economic justice issues, bankruptcy work. Yeah, so I'm still working, enjoying being here in Flint. It's a very exciting environment, lots of opportunity, lots of need for rational thought in terms of what's going on. The military, it was, as I say, an honor and a privilege. I had a brother. We were in Vietnam together. He was in a buff, though, one of those big fuckers, B-52. So he was like 50,000 feet above me while I was down on the ground. So my dad was a Navy man. He, World War II, he was fun. He was a good guy. Passed when I was young. But he taught us how to march and do all that stuff. I was drafted. That was the shortest way in and the quickest way out. So yeah, I stood in line there. I'm pretty mechanical. They trained me to be a helicopter mechanic. I worked on Chinooks. Got to Can Tho, Vietnam. Ended up being more or less a journalist, I guess. Had dark room, took a lot of pictures. Not a war photographer, but it was certainly a bitter experience in many ways. The opportunity to sort of see foreign policy hard at work. Yeah, I went down to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. From there, went to basic training. Then I went to Fort Eustis, went through AIT, and they trained me to be a mechanic, essentially. Decision when I got drafted, I was just going to keep my head down and, take care of business, get in and get out. Vietnam was a pretty raw experience. Something you don't want to dwell on. I started, I guess when I came out of Vietnam, the Agent Orange had started fucking with me. That was pretty early. Well, it was, I got there after Tet, and got there on Christmas Day. We all landed in Tan Son Nhut when there were separate ways. Can Tho was down south on the Mekong River, pretty big town. Decent Army air base there, not for jets, but so we had a lot of missions. I flew. We did a lot of wrong there, and maybe it was for the right reasons. Nobody knows, but so you're in country pretty much. It was pretty calm for the most part. We didn't get attacked on the ground, but we got mortars and shit, and they're on the airfield. You see the bodies coming in. They call it a graves registration. And then they had the big skids of Agent Orange. And, they still make it up there in fucking Midland. There's guys up in what do you think Agent Orange is but Roundup? Fuck those guys. You know, they're the fucking murderers to this day. So I guess I've been politicized, I guess, and radicalized. I've known a lot of people who have been on the front end of the movement. I was down, like I say, the Army's been, military was not something I would wish on. Well, I don't know. I think we ought to start drafting people again. I mean, whether it's military service or what, you know. I mean, people need to stand up and, you know, be counted. There's a lot of fucking work to be done. Chinooks, or they call them slicks. The Hueys they called slicks, and they're kind of a standard helicopter, very versatile. You can mount them with gunships. You can do medevac with them. You can run, go in and out. So Hueys were the real workforces in the assault. Of course, then there were a few others. They had one. I forget what they called it, but it was a monster. They go out and they had free fire zones around the field, and they go up there and they just chop up the world. Chinooks, you're kind of like riding in a semi-truck, you know, or a school bus. I mean, you know, you figure a helicopter, you figure something zooming in and zooming out, you know. But this is like, you know.
That was the Hueys, the Chinooks. So you got to work on those at the base you were at? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I worked on them, but I mainly worked as a clerk, though. I worked as a photographer and a clerk. I flew observation missions. I didn't twist wrenches, though. I had a buddy from flight school who was in personnel, so that was, and they called us flight engineers, but really what it was, you went to Vietnam to be a door gunner, you know, and so that's what the flight engineer did on the Chinook. He stood in the door, you know, with an M60 and did the dirty. No, so I like I said, I wasn't a door gunner. So, but I got to, you know, it was great. We spent a lot of time in Canton City. In the economy, had some good friends, some of whom we had our 50-year reunion in Birmingham last year, and I'm in touch with them. You know, those old sots. They're still around. Five of the six of us made it back. So. So we all have just a little bit of time, you know.
As a journalist and a photographer,